Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe. In today's episode, I got my brother, Michael Hewitt in the building, 1/3 of the Nashville Power BI user group
That's right.
team, and just a fantastic individual, man. Michael, I've known you probably, what, 5 years now, if not longer, 5, 6 years?
Probably longer, maybe almost 10 now.
Yeah, like a good minute. So, no,
Uh-huh.
Michael, absolutely great guy. So I'm excited to have you on here, man. So, Michael, thanks so much for joining, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Honored to be here with you.
Yeah, likewise. So, we've done a number of these. So I did my little quick intro, but Michael, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
All right. Well, hey guys, I'm Michael Hewitt. I'm a Christian husband, father of three. I'm currently working at Hunt Brothers Pizza, where I'm a senior BI manager. As Sekou mentioned, I'm part of the leadership team of the Nashville Power BI user group. I love being a part of the community. You just probably see me out at least within a driving distance of Nashville, doing some speaking and learning as much as I can. But I'd say that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Yeah, love it, love it. So, you mentioned husband, Christian. We talk about our faith often and pray for each other and do
Yeah,
everything. So,
that's
this
right.
relationship and a bond that, I personally thoroughly enjoy. And then you mentioned
Yeah.
BI developer, manager, speaking and stuff. So, before you even got into that, what really compels you to get into data to begin with?
Yeah, what compelled me to get into data was that I was working at a little IT firm here in Nashville, where I'm based, and um, as part of that job, I had to turn in reports on a regular basis, just over mostly quality assurance work that I was doing. And as I got into, I was doing it all in Excel, and as I got into that, I kept wanting to push Excel. I thought, well, I got a lot of stuff here to measure quality. I want to get Excel to do some more work. So I'd learn more about formulas. I'd learn more about macros, whatever else I needed to learn, so that Excel would do more work for me and I could focus on the parts that only I could focus on. And so my boss at the time, Charlie, he came into my office one day and he said, "Hey, I got this email from Microsoft." So this has been about 10 years ago or 11 years, 10 years ago. And he said, "I got this email from Microsoft. There's this new thing coming out called Power BI. I think you should download it. You're really going to like it." And so uh, I did, and it did not go well at first. I did not know what I was doing, but once I got going, that's what really helped me get that data bug where I started kind of realizing, wait, I can transition from Excel to a tool that's more powerful that can handle large sums of data, and that fed my curiosity right there. So that
Love
was
that.
it.
Love that, man. Shout out to the manager that was like Charlie,
Yeah,
man. Shout out to Charlie. It was just like, hey,
yeah,
one email. He could have just threw it in spam. It was just like, we're not going to use
yeah,
this. But, one
yeah.
email and introduction changed the trajectory of where you're at, man. So that's
That's
phenomenal and
right.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So
So,
thinking about your journey, right? You mentioned that you were
yep.
doing stuff in Excel and then picked up Power BI and SQL and different
Mhm.
things. But my favorite question is, what's been your least favorite job to date? And this can go back to like in high school, I was a
Mhm.
pizza delivery or I worked at a post
Yeah.
office, whatever it was, right? So what's been your least favorite job to date that you've had?
Oh, yeah. This one was a tough one to think about ahead of time because I've really been blessed to have some pretty great jobs. But I think my least favorite was my first job. I grew up in Cincinnati, so just outside of Cincinnati is Kings Island. And where I lived was about 10 minutes from there. And so everybody at my high school worked at Kings Island. And so the perks of the job were awesome because got in the park for free whenever you wanted. But the job itself, I was working in food service, and it was like I mean, I didn't get to do it. I was prepping cheese and handing burgers through a little window. I mean, it was really kind of boring and tedious. I didn't really enjoy it, but it was a paycheck, and one of my buddies worked there, so we would go ride all the roller coasters after our shift pretty much every day. So we enjoyed that, but the job itself wasn't all that great.
Wow. So Kings Island, didn't know that about you. So,
Yeah, man.
summertime, it's hot, it's muggy, it's,
Yep.
you know, trying to get these burgers and food to these yelling kids and,
Yeah,
trying to get
that's
stuff
right.
out there.
That's right. That's right.
Love it. So
That's
that's why
right.
you always have customer service, right? Because you started at Kings Island. So that's why you're always customer
That
first.
must be it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So Michael have a philosophy on here. It's called failing
Mhm.
forward, right? You never really fail at all. You just take the
Yeah.
lessons and grow and evolve from them. So think about that philosophy. What's been your biggest failure, quotation marks around failure, and what you really learned from that experience?
Yeah. That's a great question. Um, there've been a few, but one of the ones that I think um, really helped propel me forward was that what brought me to Nashville from Cincinnati was to come work in the music business, right? The stereotypical kind of Nashville story. So I got a job as an audio engineer, and actually had a full-time gig for a while, and that came to an end. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just go independent. I'll do this by myself. And that little experiment did not go so well. It was right around the time that my first our daughter was born, our first child. So here I am learning at the time that I'm not real good at business development. I'm not real good at marketing myself, uh, needing to make some money, and that not going well, which that's still not a great skill of mine today. It's something I have to continue working at. Um, and I suppose it's a failure, but I was thinking about this a little bit more before we got on here. I thought, but yeah, but if I didn't do that and I didn't fail, I probably wouldn't have taken that job at the IT firm that got me into Power BI. So really it was part of the journey and the Lord's hand of provision in getting me into data and helping me get to where I am today. So yeah, it's a failure, but it still feeds me because I still have to think often back to that experience. Okay, I don't want to go back there and do that again. So, all right, how do I learn then how to better market myself? If I, ever did want to get back independent, how do I learn not to make the same mistakes that I made then? Because at the time I didn't really know anybody. I didn't have really a community of other audio engineers to lean on. I didn't really know how to network and to effectively have those kinds of conversations with people. I have learned that since then, but just learning how to how to communicate about myself in a very non-prideful and in a way that I can actually present myself to serve other people. So that was probably one of the biggest ones, and what I've learned from it. But like I said, it's turned out to have been a pretty big blessing as well.
I love that, man. And it's crazy, like, when you look back, because I read your blog as well, right? The 10-year mark of Power BI.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming you probably had a similar introspective thing. When you look back, you're like, man, wow, I can't believe in 10 years, 8 years we've been doing this. It's just like God's path for
That's right.
everything. Everything has been intentional to get us to the point to where we're at
That's
today,
right.
and everything. And you look back at some of those lessons of like, ooh, that didn't feel good, or man, I can't believe I overcame that. And
Yeah.
here we are today is wild to look
Yeah.
back on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's
So
right. Yeah. I very much had that experience.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I had a similar one where I thought I was ready to go independent. This was shortly after, probably a few years after college, where I was in IT, and I was gonna go around and be an IT consultant and fix malware and services and
Uh-huh.
do different things, right? And I had no clue about like pricing and
Uh-huh.
staffing. I could hustle, but it was just like, nah, I should probably get a job.
Right. Right.
But I
Right.
had a similar
Oh yeah.
thing where you look back on it, even now, it's just like, all right, this didn't go well at that time frame, but now, I'll make sure I
Yeah.
never go back to that mindset or
That's
doing
right.
that there.
That's
All right.
right.
So thinking about this, the target audience for the podcast are people who are just starting in data, or trying to transition or pivot into data. So thinking about that, what's one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
Yeah, especially if you're going to work in data. This one might sound a little obvious, but you got to be curious. And I think that's a big part of being a lifelong learner, right? We hear that in all kinds of different spheres. If you're going to be successful in life, you've got to be a lifelong learner. And I think what fuels that is being curious. And I think sometimes it's easy for us to be curious, and at other times it's not so easy to be curious. And so what I mean when I say be curious is that I think we have to be willing to learn new things. And that as in the data world takes a lot of different approaches, right? We have to be willing to learn new technologies. We have to be willing to learn new parts of a business or new industries. And sometimes we kind of, I don't know if I want to learn that. But if that willingness is there, and we'll allow that curiosity to kind of run a little bit, what can happen is that we may find something, oh, you know what, that wasn't interesting before, but now that I've taken some steps to learn that, it is interesting now. Or at the very least, you may say, well, I don't know why that would ever be valuable to me. But, 5 years down the road, all of a sudden you're in the middle of a project and, oh, wait a minute. I remember when I talked to this guy over here, that didn't seem useful at the time, but now I've got a little bit of inside knowledge, or I've got something I can pull out that is going to be very useful in this project. So always be curious, and don't hesitate to learn new things, even if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, I think that's sound advice, and especially in this day and age, right? AI, everything is that, but
Yes.
the foundational curiosity and path of just continuously evolving and growing, and not even necessarily challenging, but just being like, hey, I wrote this equation this way. How could I be more performant, or how could I
That's right.
optimize this report for the consumer, right? I think just a
Yep.
continuous improvement mindset will take you super far. So fantastic
Yep.
advice, Mike. All right, tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
Oh, wow. Okay. There's been a lot of folks. I would say going back to that story a little earlier, you know, Charlie was one of the most influential people. He gave me a lot of once I got into Power BI, and I wanted to stop actually at one point. Like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't want to do this anymore. Uh, he encouraged me to keep going, but he gave me a lot of room to to educate myself during work hours. And that was really the first time I'd ever had a leader kind of show me that that was possible. So I always figured, well, if I'm going to learn something, that has to be outside of work. And so that really, really influenced me heavily. And I think influences how I lead people. I'd have to say Will Harvey has a huge influence on me as well. Having not gotten involved with the Power BI user group and the data community here in Nashville, I certainly wouldn't be where I am today. And Will was such a big encouragement. And I remember asking him, Will, do you think this is something I could do full time? And he's like, oh yeah, you're doing really cool stuff. And here I'm thinking like, man, I've got major imposter syndrome. There's no way that I could do this full time. And he was such a big encouragement in that. There's a lot of other people, but those are probably two of the biggest.
Nice, man. Shout out to Charlie again, managers. Managers that give you the ability to grow and evolve are priceless. Those are
That's
great
right.
leaders. They're more than a manager,
Hmm.
because a manager, right, processes, you know, end of year over year growth, whatever, right? But those that actually pour into like the people they're managing and
Yes.
allow them to evolve are just like phenomenal. So shout out to Charlie, and then Will. Will's, I mean, phenomenal. Like
Yes.
where like every shout out to Will, man. Will,
Yes.
yeah. If you listen to this, I'll probably send you this when this goes out personally. But man, shout out to Will. It's the guy. He's
Yes.
impacted so many people here in Nashville. He's a
He
fantastic
has.
guy.
He has.
Yeah,
Yeah, his ripple is huge in
yeah,
this town.
yeah.
So
A lot of impact there. Awesome. All right,
yeah.
Michael. Where can listeners find you at online?
Well, probably the easiest place is on LinkedIn, but I also blog on my website, michaelhewitt.net. And the little teaser that there's some works on getting onto YouTube, but we're still a little bit away from getting some content there, but it's coming.
Finally get Michael on the YouTube. Got a lot of
I
stuff in
know,
that brain, man. You need to get it out into the world so
I
people
know.
can see what you got. I love it.
I
Love
know,
it.
man. Well, thanks for encouraging that.
You got it, man. It'd be great. Awesome, man. Mike, I appreciate you so much for joining today, man. This was awesome.
Yes, thank you again. Honored to
No,
be here. Thanks for having me.
no problem. No problem. And as I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great day.